Your data stays in your country, let's say India. No Chinese software, no US infrastructure, no foreign surveillance built and designed right here in your country. The same thing, for example, Europe launched Euro Office with a promise to protect your data, but what about the infrastructure and the hardware and the softwares that come with the hardware? To further explain this simply, let's talk about a very famous case study or true example in India. There are some apps that could not be uninstalled. They run in the background. They have permissions to collect your personal information automatically during use, and the company that built them is not your country. It's based in China, or it could be in the United States, on a phone that had been marketed specifically on the promise that your data would not leave your country, for this example. People believed it. They bought the phones, and then a few YouTubers started digging in. What happened next should concern every single person who cares about data privacy anywhere. Because this is not just a story about one phone company in one country, this is a warning about how tech companies use patriotism and privacy language to sell you something that may be the complete opposite of what they are promising. And in Europe, where we live under some of the strictest data privacy laws in the world, this kind of story matters more than just people realize. So let's get into it. India is the second largest smartphone market on the planet, over 700 million users. And for years, a massive chunk of that market has been dominated by Chinese brands, Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo, Realme, and many others. For the comparison, Euro Office just launched in Europe having similar reasons and concerns. That created an opening, a real one. If someone could build a truly Indian smartphone designed and developed in India, protecting Indian user data, they would not just sell a product, they would be selling national pride. Several companies tried. Carbon, Micromax, Lava, all of them marketed themselves as made in India. All of them failed to capture meaningful market share. Why? Because when you actually looked under the hood, the phones were assembled in India but designed and developed in China. And Indian consumers are smart. If the brains of the phone come from China anyway, why not just buy directly from a Chinese brand and pay less? Then, in mid-2025, a new company called AI Plus launched, and their pitch was different, bolder. They did not just say made in India, they said sovereign, private, secure. They said your data stays in India. They specifically claimed their software was built from scratch in India. And they went after Chinese phones directly in their marketing, suggesting that foreign phones represent a real threat to Indian privacy and national security. The CEO, Mafshid, was the face of all of it. And on paper, he was incredibly qualified. He spent years as a sales director at Oppo. He co-founded and ran Realme for 5 years, growing it into the fourth biggest smartphone brand in India. He then led Honor and Alcatel in the Indian market before deciding to build something of his own. The man knows the industry inside out, which makes everything that followed even harder to explain. The first crack appeared when a tech YouTuber got hold of one of the AI Plus phones and started looking closely at the software. He noticed that the operating system, which AI Plus had branded as Next Quantum OS and marketed as an original Indian-built platform, looked remarkably similar to Realme's operating system, the same Realme that Mafshid had previously run. Now, that alone proves nothing, but when the YouTuber found 3 apps pre-installed on the phone, apps that could not be disabled or uninstalled, and when he dug into the privacy policies of those apps, he found something that directly contradicted everything AI Plus had been saying. One of the apps, Phone Clone, had its privacy policy registered under a company called Sprocom Technologies, a company based in China. An independent Android researcher then analyzed the app files for all 3 pre-installed applications. The conclusion was clear. All 3 apps were built in China. The package names had been changed to make them look original, but the underlying code told a completely different story. Now, here's where your cybersecurity instincts should kick in. These apps could not be uninstalled. They ran in the background, they held permissions to collect your personal information automatically during use, and the company that built them was not based in India. It was based in China. on a phone that had been marketed specifically on the promise that your data would never leave India. This is not a major inconsistency. In cybersecurity terms, this is what we call a supply chain trust failure. The vendor you trusted has embedded third-party components with data collection capabilities, and they either did not know about it or choose to not tell you about it. In Europe, this kind of thing would trigger serious scrutiny under GDPR. You cannot promise users that their data stays within a specific jurisdiction and then embed apps from foreign entities that collect data automatically. The legal exposure alone would be enormous. So let's see what comes with EuroOffice, because we use EuroOffice and the infrastructure is all American and Chinese. In India, the response from AI Plus was different. They sent the YouTuber a legal notice. His video was geo-locked. Indian users could no longer watch it. That should have been the end of it. It was not. Before we continue, if you work in IT or care about data security, subscribe now. We cover exactly these kind of stories because they directly affect how you should think about device security in your workplace and your personal life. Hit subscribe so you do not miss what's coming. When AI Plus launched their second generation of products in 2026, a second YouTuber posted a video titled "This Indian phone is a marketing disaster." He pointed out the same Chinese apps were still present on the new phones. Two of them had been hidden from their app drawer, but plugging the phone into a computer and running a simple command brought them right back. He also traced the story of the CEO, arguing that every company Mafshit had been involved with had eventually let customers down. 5 days later, the video was also taken down. Then, a third creator went even further. He claimed that one of the new AI Plus phones, the Nova Flip, was not designed in India at all. It was essentially the same phone on the Chinese ZTE Nobia Flip 2. Same battery, same processor, and when he looked inside the device software, he found ZTE identifiers everywhere. The Compass app labeled ZTE, the AI engine labeled ZTE, the fingerprint service labeled ZTE, with 20 to 30 permissions attached to each of those services. He then said something important. If you think it took a lot of effort to find this, it did not. Look into any of their products and you will find a Chinese connection. To test that, he checked another AI Plus product, a kid's smartwatch. The download link on the AI Plus website pointed to an app registered under a company called Li Fine Technologies, based in Shenzhen, China. And then there were the Wearbuds, a watch with earbuds built in. At launch, the CEO said this product was designed in India, patented in India, but then someone found the official verified Instagram page of a Chinese company called AI Power. And on that page, they had posted about the AI Plus launch event with the caption, "Great cooperation with AI Plus brand." If the product was entirely designed and patented in India, why would a Chinese hardware manufacturer publicly announce their cooperation on the product launch? And if you look at the logos of AI Plus and AI Power side by side, the AI portion of both logos is nearly identical. The kind of similarity that does not happen by accident. Both videos from the second and third creators disappeared from the internet within 14 days. Not because the creators removed them, because the Delhi High Court granted AI Plus an emergency injunction, an ex parte order, meaning only one side was heard in the court. The YouTubers were not present. They were not notified in advance, and yet they were legally restrained from publishing what the court described as dispersing content about AI Plus or its CEO. The order also named John Doe, a legal placeholder for the unnamed future critique, which means the injunction did not just cover those two creators, it covered anyone who might say something negative about AI Plus going forward. At least 10 other YouTube videos received legal actions as a result of that John Doe clause. Now let's be very clear about what this means. This is a company worth tens of millions of dollars using the legal system to silence criticism during the exact window when their products are being launched and reviewed. The videos stayed down during the critical period. By the time any court reverses the decision, the launch window is over and the damage to the critics has already been done. A legal expert explained that in the United States, getting this kind of emergency order to suppress a tech review would be virtually unheard of. The same thing almost here in Europe. You would need to demonstrate irreparable harm, and financial losses from a review would not qualify. But India's defamation laws are structured differently and they are more plenty-friendly. This is actually a global problem in disguise. We are starting to see tech companies in emerging markets use legal mechanisms to manage their reputation instead of addressing the actual product issues. And as those companies eventually expand internationally, this pattern of behavior comes with them. When the CEO was confronted about all of this directly, the conversation was revealing. On the Chinese apps, he essentially said they existed on global test units, not on Indian devices. When shown evidence of those exact apps on a phone purchased in India, he shifted and said the software version on that device had never existed. When pressed further on why customers on Flipkart were posting screenshots of the same apps on their devices, he continued to deny it and asked to check the phones personally. Multiple phones were purchased new in India, specifically to verify this. All of them had the Chinese apps installed at first boot. An update was eventually pushed that hid the apps, but even after the update, traces remained. One device still showed a widget labeled SPRO weather clock, SPRO being the branded name associated with Sprocom, the Chinese ODM. On the legal actions against YouTubers, he initially defended it, calling it need to have the brand side of the story included before a video goes live. But by the second conversation, he had softened, saying he acted in haste and was willing to reverse the court order. However, what came to light after that conversation makes the reversal feel like damage control rather than genuine accountability. In court, the YouTuber's legal team revealed that the John Doe naming in the injunction was deliberate. By making John Doe the primary defendant rather than the actual creators, the company ensured that no real person need to be served notice before the order was granted. No notice meant no one appeared in court to challenge the claims, and when they did eventually notify the creators, they sent the legal documents to an email address that the creators say does not exist, despite having used the correct email address just 2 days before filing the case. The judge, upon hearing the creator's side for the first time, was not pleased. The CEO was summoned to appear in court personally. He did not show up. The next hearing was pushed to August. As of now, the videos remain offline. New marketing companies for AI Plus products continue to go live. Here's what I want you to take away from this story. Data privacy promises are only as strong as the technical reality behind them. Any company like your office in Europe can claim that your data stays here in Europe, while the infrastructure that they use is American. What matters is whether the software or hardware running on your devices actually support that claim. When you install an app or buy a device, especially for work, always ask who built the underlying components, not just who branded the product. Supply chain transparency is a cybersecurity issue. This is not just a consumer story. IT professionals responsible for device procurement, mobile device management, and endpoint security should treat this as a case study. The threat does not always come from an obvious attacker. Sometimes it is pre-installed, cannot be uninstalled, and is collecting data automatically before you even open the box. And the legal intimidation angle is something we all need to watch. When companies can silence independent reviewers during a product launch window using emergency court orders, it creates a world where the only information available at the moment of purchase is the information the company wants you to see. This is a serious problem for informed decision-making anywhere in the world. Europe has legal infrastructure that makes this harder to pull off. GDPR, the EU AI Act, and the broader consumer protection law creates accountability that many markets simply do not have yet. But as more products and companies cross borders, these issues will arrive on our doorsteps too. If you found this valuable, drop a comment below. Would you trust a smartphone brand that marketed itself on privacy but embedded third-party apps you could not remove? I genuinely want to hear what are your thoughts on this. If you work in cybersecurity or IT procurement, share this video with your team. This is exactly the kind of real-world class study that belongs in a security awareness conversation. And subscribe if you are not already. We cover tech, careers, and cybersecurity from the perspective of people building lives and careers in Europe. The next video is going to be just as relevant. Stay sharp, and I will see you in the next one.